Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. Once again, NXT proves itself to be the hour of power, as this was a great episode, which was capped off, at least to me, by a very fun main event for the NXT Tag Team Championships, featuring the Ascension and the new champions, Lucha Dragons. But do not take my word for it. Let's ask my cohort and commentary Ashton here. Ashton, what'd you think of NXT?
I really enjoyed NXT. It was a lot of fun. I actually took notes this time, which has been kind of an oddity for me. It's not something that I've been doing super often lately, but I did this time, so I feel super duper prepared for this TWitWoW.
Yeah, the one interesting thing, I think probably the one discussion that I'm really looking most forward to having with you is honestly not even revolving around anything about the show. It was a vignette that we saw, which we will get to, but just that little teaser there as we get into our first segment, Heat of the Night. There's no point to this segment. There really isn't.
No, but I have one.
Oh my goodness, you do.
That vignette that you were talking about is actually my Heat of the Night.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, as you can tell by my little intro, I didn't have any, but I guess there is a need for this segment, but I'm genuinely intrigued. Okay. What did you have a problem with? Is it just the idea that, well, first of all, you can tell the audience what the vignette was.
Well, I mean, for those of you that don't watch NXT, first of all, I genuinely appreciate that you come to us for all of your NXT news, but you really should be watching the show. As wonderful as we are at reviewing and just making it seem like you saw the show even though you didn't, you should still watch the show. But that being said, for those of you that I was just talking to, we had a vignette tonight for Baron Corbin, and he spoke, which is a huge problem for me because we were just talking last week about how he reminds me of Goldberg and how I wouldn't have him say a word until he has a big victory or a championship or something. And literally a week later, here he is having a freaking vignette, and he's talking about how there are people like me and there are people like you, and the people like me are here to eradicate you. And it's just like, really? The try-hard heel BS? Really, Baron Corbin? Really?
It left me in kind of a conflict because I still agree with our assessment in the long run. He had a mystique, he had an enigma about him that should have been preserved, and I will stand by that. However, I have to concede that if he was going to speak, I did like the vignette. I think the only thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way about it is kind of what you said at the end. Does this mean that Baron Corbin's a heel? Because if it does, I just don't think so. Like, you squashed CJ Parker twice, and the fans loved it. If they were really dedicated to him being a heel, they would have had him maybe attack Sami Zayn or something. I'm trying to think of some lower card babyface they could have done. Maybe Enzo, something like that. If you were going to establish him as a heel, that would have been the route to go. But nobody likes CJ Parker. And if they do, it's because it's like a Bo Dallas effect. You know, they're just around so long and they've been working so hard to perfect whatever they've got going on that it's an appreciation being shown. But I don't think there are any people that say, oh my God, I hope CJ Parker's on the show tonight. You know, like the Enzos or the Hideos or so many other people I could list. So yeah, bad move if they're going the heel route. If it's just him trying to be a badass at the same time, I think it goes back to what you said. It's not organic. They're almost trying to script something. They're almost trying to control something that really can't be controlled. So for me, my feelings are a mixed bag. I did like the vignette, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But I can totally understand all the implications you bring to the table because I do agree with our overall assessment of this character long term. So.
I do want to be perfectly clear. I didn't hate the vignette.
Right.
I just hated the idea that he had a vignette where he was talking in the first place. I mean, don't get me wrong, the vignette was not exactly my cup of tea. It was not exactly something that I think was, oh man, even though he shouldn't have talked, this was still such a good vignette. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that great of a vignette. And I think the main problem I have is that all of a sudden now this badass that we were all like, holy crap, this guy's going to be the next Goldberg, is a heel? Like, it's the freaking Ryback effect all over again.
Yeah, you really, and you know what? It's funny you say that because you'd think after WWE really watched Ryback unfold when they tried the heel turn, they'd say, you know what? Anytime we get a destroyer that kind of looks like this or has anything similar, let's just let them go out and do their thing and let the fans love them just unconditionally. And now it seems like that they're not going to do that, which is disappointing because I was looking forward what Baron Corbin would become if his path wasn't constantly meddled with. And already I feel like there's been too much meddling going on again, despite the fact that I enjoyed it with this vignette. It's a bit concerning, to say the least.
I think the biggest concern to me is that this reeks of a Vince McMahon move.
And don't even get me started on that, because what did you and I talk about just a few minutes before recording?
And that's the ironic thing, is that apparently Vince doesn't even watch NXT, but this feels like something that has Vince's mark all over it, because Vince loves to take cool baby faces and either turn them into generic white bread baby faces or double up on their heel tendencies. And that's pretty much what they're doing here. They're just taking this badass babyface Baron Corbin and doubling up on his heel tendencies. Like, why would you even do this? Do you want him to be a heel? And if he is supposed to be a heel, why would you debut him against another heel like CJ Parker and get people excited about him as a babyface? And if he's supposed to be a babyface, this vignette made zero sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, when somebody comes out and says, you know, there are people like me and people like you, and I'm meant to eradicate people like you, like that.
You know how this could have worked? And now I still would have had it as a heat of the night because I don't think you should talk in the first place. But if he had to have this vignette, it could have worked if rather than saying people like me and people like you, he said people like me and people like CJ Parker.
Yeah.
Because CJ Parker is all worried about Greenpeace and all this crap, and then he can come in here with his freaking motorcycle spewing fumes out the tailpipe, talking about how I am here to eradicate people like CJ Parker. And that still might come off a little bit as a heelish vibe, but there would be enough mystique there that you would be left to wonder, is this guy a jerk, or does he just really not like hippies and he's just like a conservative badass? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and now it's just like, there's no question. He is a heel. He hates the crowd now. Like, why would you go there?
And that's why language is so important, because I think with your alteration to the vignette, we see a categorization taking place. When he says people like CJ Parker, we know, okay, he means people that are heels or a specific kind of heel. When he says people like you, that's so ambiguous and such like general phrasing that, of course, just to be safe, you're going to group the whole lot in there. So really, even if he doesn't mean to be a heel, you didn't get that message across, and that's why people like you and I are having it out right now about it, because when you use words like you, well, what does that even mean? People like you. Like, you know, I really don't even know. Again, I enjoyed it, but I do think this was a mistake. I feel like the conversations we've had, you had a big guy, goes in there, beats asses, had a mystique, and again, was very enigmatic, didn't say a word, and I was looking forward to piecing together the story for myself. And now I feel like there really is no mystery left, which is a shame, because this gimmick was just hot out of the box.
See, now, I won't go as far as to say there's no mystery left, but a lot of the mystique has definitely been taken away.
Yeah. Oh, without question. Without question. Maybe I did go a little bit too far, and I can concede that, but I am glad you and I could both agree. Yeah, a lot of the mystique has been stripped away from this, because when you speak, it's kind of like when Kane unmasked, you know, that first time you never forget because there's a potency to it, but then every other time you do it, you know, kind of lost its power because, well, I already know what's under there. So now that Baron Corbin has spoken, not only do I know, you know, what he sounds like and this and that, but I also kind of know what he stands for just from this one vignette. Again, I'm here to eradicate people like you. So a lot's already come together. I'm just interested to see how they handle this in the coming weeks now that the vignette is aired. So.
Yeah. So, do we have anything else to talk about here? That was my heat of the night.
Okay, that was your one and only. I didn't have any, and again, like I did kind of tease the discussion, so we had it. So I guess now we can get into our formal NXT review. So, with that said, here is our formal NXT review, and we open up this show with a hype train, apparently.
No, it wasn't. I mean, if it was, it's off the tracks. It was just Mojo Rawley.
Yep. Mojo Rawley coming out. It's a rematch from NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way against Bull Dempsey. Bull Dempsey charging into the ring. Mojo tries to get the jump on him. They brawl for a little bit. It seems like it's going to be...
The only reason this match lasted 2 minutes and not 30 seconds is because of the fact that Mojo got the jump on Bull.
Yes, exactly, because once they got in the ring, pretty much Bull ran roughshod over Mojo Rawley.
Well, and even then, though, even when they got in the ring, Mojo did have the advantage for a little bit, but all it took was, at one point, Mojo was going to throw Bull into the turnbuckle, Bull reversed it, and then Mojo did hit him with an elbow, but then they were running the ropes, and Bull hit him with like a full-body tackle, and that was it. Like, one full-body tackle, and Mojo was down and out long enough for Bull to go to the top rope and hit his diving headbutt for the win.
Yeah, and can I say, like, even though Bull Dempsey still has a lot to work out for me, I do
Isn't
like...
Mojo Rawley supposed to be a former football player? Shouldn't he, of all people, be used to getting tackled?
Yeah, I guess, you know, when you're as big as Bull Dempsey, even though we've seen guys that big in the NFL, I don't freaking know. We all know Mojo Rawley just sucks. Maybe he wasn't even that good on the football field.
I think that's kind of the message that they're sending here, whether they're trying to or not.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I will say, even though Bull has got a lot to work out for me, I do like that his finisher's the diving head, but I don't know. There's just something about a guy that big doing a maneuver like that I just kind of like. So he gets the pin. Bull Dempsey wins. But then the post-match is what really made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Because Tyler Breeze comes out. Look, everyone! It's Tyler! And, yeah, he pretty much puts the boots to Mojo Rawley. I think sends him crashing into the ring post and just kind of screams at him. So Tyler Breeze clearly still frustrated that he is not the NXT World Champion. And, you know, personally, I think Tyler Breeze was completely justified. I don't know why that Uggo Mojo Rawley was taking up more TV time than he deserved. Just my thought there.
Yep.
So, then we segue into our next matchup, Tyler Breeze versus Justin Gabriel. And Ash, I know you're big on both of these guys, so what did you think of this match?
Dude, I don't think you understand just how big I am on Justin Gabriel. Like, I am, every time I see him in the ring, whether it's on Main Event or Superstars or NXT, I am just growing more and more disappointed with the fact that he never had a substantial career on the main roster. It is so disappointing to me because I freaking love this dude. Like, even going back, I can honestly say that I have enjoyed this guy since before NXT was even a thing, back in FCW. And honestly, even because of the fact that I've known him since before NXT was a thing in FCW, I looked him up to find out what he did before he got to FCW, and I can honestly say that I am a fan of what he did back then in South Africa. This dude is just one of the very few guys on the entire roster that I can genuinely say, no matter what he does, in my eyes at least, he turns it into gold. Even if it's not genuine, like, oh my god, this guy just produces amazing TV no matter what he does to, like, the general public. For some reason, Justin Gabriel just freaking gets me, man. This dude is so good. But this match was really more about Tyler Breeze's toughness and proving that he can take a few face shots and keep rolling with the punches. And he did just that. Gabriel planted him with a couple DDTs here. Really, really just showed the mettle that Tyler Breeze has developed over time. And at the end of the day, Gabriel had a 450 set up, and he went for it, but Breeze rolled out of the way. Gabriel landed on his feet and kind of rolled through it, but then he went back to attack Breeze, and Breeze hit a supermodel kick, which is just a super kick, but they had the model in there because of his gimmick. Followed up by a beauty shot for the win.
Yeah, I agree with you on every point. Now, I haven't heavily researched Justin Gabriel to the same extent, but what really opened up my eyes to him, and this is the match I always go to, his match against John Cena when he was a member of the Nexus, was when I really said, wow, I think he's got a quality about him that is very special, and it's a shame that we don't have that Iron Man 15-minute championship, because I could see Justin Gabriel really being one of the staples of a division like that. And it's just a shame that we really don't have that kind of a place for talents like Gabriel. I will say the only confusing part about this match, though I did enjoy it for all the reasons you mentioned, was because, I was under the impression that Gabriel was a heel. So it was almost like two heels were working with each other. But other than that, I mean, this match was really great, and I think it did prove the point that you mentioned, that Tyler Breeze can take all these shots. He does have the toughness. He's really come into his own. He's focused on the NXT Championship even more than he's focused on himself, and anybody who knows Tyler Breeze should be utterly terrified, by that notion that he's that focused. And yeah, the supermodel kick, the beauty shot, great win. I hope it's not long before we, hear Tyler Breeze's name in championship discussions again. No matter who the new champion is, whether it's Sami Zayn or whatever. Hell, if Sami Zayn does win the title off of Neville eventually, I would like to see Tyler Breeze as one of his first feuds, seeing as how Tyler Breeze still does own a one-on-one victory over Sami Zayn at the first takeover. So, But yeah, great match here, and Breeze gets the win.
Indeed. Afterwards, we did get the Baron Corbin vignette, so not really a whole lot left to say about that since I addressed it already in Heat of the Night. John, anything to add about that?
Absolutely not.
So then we had a segment where Natalya asked William Regal to grant Tyson Kidd a second chance, or in this case a third or a fourth or maybe even a fifth chance, I haven't been counting, at the NXT Championship at Adrian Neville. And Regal is very upfront about this. He says, why should I? He's gone against Adrian Neville before, and he's been beaten by him before. And then Natalya says, but it was a fatal four-way. And Regal makes the brilliant point of, yeah, but Kidd was the one that got pinned. And Natalya says, well, he deserves it. And Regal's just like, oh, fine. I honestly, I really hate Natalya. Like, the fact that, and I know that it's just like written in, so I shouldn't really hold a grudge against her, but this is just stupid. Why would Regal agree to that? Honestly, I have it in my head that he only agreed to this to get Natalya out of his hair because she is more obnoxious than not giving Tyson Kidd a championship match.
I got the same impression. Plus, I do like how Regal handled the situation here, because let's remember the big caveat. Kidd gets his championship match, but this is a last chance match.
Which I love, because it's also another way to shut Natalya up.
Not only does it shut Natalya up, but it makes me very intrigued about the prospect of Tyson Kidd potentially getting involved in the end of Adrian Neville's title reign, because Regal was very specific. He said, Kidd will not.
Oh, yeah, because now it'll be like if and when, because I'm like 99% confident that he's not going to win, if and when Kidd doesn't win the title, his priorities are going to change from trying to get the title, because that won't be possible anymore, to trying to make Neville lose the title, because then he'll finally get opportunities to have the title again.
Exactly.
I like that. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I hadn't even thought of that. That's brilliant. Great job.
Yeah, that was one of my earliest thoughts when Regal was that specific, so I'm like, okay. And you know what? That will be, if WWE has the same idea in mind, I think that's awesome heel booking for Tyson Kidd. And let me just say this right now, because there was a Tyson Kidd segment later in the show that I loved. I'm really scared, and I think, though, I can readily admit, even with Tyler Breeze and other people on the roster, I think Tyson Kidd is one of, if not just my favorite heel on NXT. The guy is awesome. So no matter whether he wins the championship, which, like you, Ash, and I doubt, or now his pursuit becomes, I'm going to screw Adrian Neville, I'm on the ride the entire way. So, regardless, I'm all in. So this is good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So up next, we had our third match of the night. It's so weird because, I feel like Bull Dempsey versus Mojo Rawley didn't even happen, and that it wasn't even a real match. It was just a precursor to Breeze Gabriel. But it did. So now we're on our third match of the night now. Alexa Bliss versus Bayley. Basically the battle of cute at this point. Bliss, I think, has new theme music. And Bayley doesn't really seem to be too affected by the loss to Charlotte. She comes out, same theme, same entrance. She even has the frills going on that she wore for TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, which I thought that would be a one-time thing, but apparently she's just going to be keeping them. Same wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men. Same high fives to the crowd. Nothing's really changed about Bayley. They have at one point they have like a cute little series of moves where Bliss ends up getting the upper hand with I think it was a head scissors takedown, and Bayley like acknowledges that it was a good move, and Bliss is just like, yeah, I'm not too bad, and then they high five each other, which was awesome. But eventually it gets to a point where Bliss goes for a standing moonsault, and Bayley rolls out of the way, and then she ends up hitting Bliss with a belly to Bayley for the win.
Yeah, this is a solid bout considering, the time was given and the women involved. I do think Alexa Bliss is slowly but surely getting better. So
that makes one of us.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. I mean, there's still a long way to go. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I thought it was interesting that they'd have two babyface women in the same match, because I'm like, wait, is one of them going to turn? And I obviously thought, Alexa Bliss, because here Bayley's got all this momentum. She just had an NXT Women's Championship match, all this stuff. But Alexa did not turn. However, something interesting in the division still did happen, because Bayley immediately calls out Charlotte. And, Bayley goes on to explain, hey, Charlotte, at TakeOver, I let everybody down. My mother was here. She wanted to see me win the championship. I let her down. And, I have literally not been able to sleep. So I called you out here because I want a rematch for that NXT championship, or women's championship, obviously. Charlotte retorts that, Bayley, you earned my respect. So if you want to go at it, one more time, you've got it. See you next week, kid. And so we have a rematch, Charlotte versus Bayley Part 2 for the NXT Women's Championship, going to take place next week. And I'll be interested to see how this all plays out. Will now be the time where Charlotte drops the championship. I'm going to say, unlike my initial TakeOver predictions that we did, that Charlotte is going to retain here. Now I am picking Charlotte, so.
You are, officially?
Yes, officially. I think Charlotte's going to retain next week.
Wow, that surprises me.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm 50-50, which is why, I'm glad that it's just an episode of NXT and not an official live special, because we would have to do preview and predictions for that, and I would do a lot of waffling if we had to, because I just don't know.
Oh, yeah. I could totally understand. I think that's the only reason why I can answer with such confidence, honestly, is because I know that there are no, exterior implications, so to speak. But, yeah, I just think she beat Bayley once. She'll probably beat her again, because I think Bayley is kind of like the Dolph Ziggler in the sense that they probably really love to watch her, have a struggle and really have to fight from the ground up.
I kind of feel like Bayley might not be the one to win the NXT Women's Championship off of Charlotte. She might be next in line after Sasha.
Yeah,
because here's the thing. Let's kind of take a second to kind of see if we can agree on something here. Can we agree that generally the first feud that a champion has after a live special is not the feud that they're going to have going into the next live special?
Yeah, that's most certainly true.
Yeah, I feel like they're using Bayley to kind of buy some time so that when they start building up Sasha Banks, they have a relatively, comprehensive timetable for when they can start building her up until they have the blow off between her and Charlotte at the next live special in December.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that could be, because you know what? That's another thing, too. If Charlotte doesn't retain...
Honestly, I could even see a triple threat. Because honestly, dude, I think... I keep it saying honestly. Of course I'm being honest. No, I'm going to lie to you. No, but... I think that there's a very distinct possibility we might get a triple threat between Sasha, Bayley, and Charlotte, because I think we're going to get a one-on-one NXT championship match, and NXT live specials tends to have at least one multi-person championship match. The last one, it was the Fatal 4-Way. I feel like there was something going on at the previous one. Maybe I'm just making things up, but still, I think that it makes perfect sense to have at least one multi-person championship match, and I don't think that that's going to happen with the NXT title, and I don't think that that's going to happen with the tag titles. So for the women's championship to be defended in a multi-person match would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I can definitely see your reasoning there, Ashton. I could actually easily see next week, maybe Bayley is closing in on the victory. Maybe she gets the belly to Bayley. And Sasha Banks comes in and she screws Bayley out of the championship.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, at NXT Arrival, Charlotte won the title by beating Natalya. But then when the show was closing, everyone was chanting for Bayley, right?
Right.
Well, at TakeOver, that was not at Arrival, that was at the first TakeOver. But then at TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, she beat Bayley, but what did the women's segment conclude with? Her, Bayley, and Sasha all in the ring at the same time.
Right.
I think that they are going to continue along that thought process, and we're going to get a triple threat at the December live special.
I hope so, because I know how high you and I are on Sasha Banks. I would personally love for her to be the next NXT Women's Champion. And the thing is...
the funny thing is, you said about how you feel like Bayley, kind of like Dolph Ziggler, is like that character that they love to watch squirm because it makes the fans love him even more. I feel like they've treated Sasha more like that character because, like, Sasha is that character who, no matter how good she is in the ring, she's like losing her way to the championship. You know what I mean? Like she only really beats the jobbers of the women's division. Like she's beaten Alexa Bliss. I think she has a victory over Becky Lynch. Like it's not really that big of a deal. But when it comes to the Baileys and the Charlottes of the world, she can't seem to win the big one. It's just like Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. But it's interesting, Ashton, because when I think about who's going to be next in line, because I have to say, again, I think I said this on the last episode of NXT TWitWoW, I love how NXT treats its champions. It seems like every reign in one way or another has some kind of meaning or it's important, and that's been especially true for the NXT Women's title. I mean, look at how long Paige held the belt as the inaugural champion, and she didn't even lose it. She had to forfeit it because she had become the WWE Divas champion. And now Charlotte's going on this run. And then whoever succeeds her, I think is going to be ideal. And I do think Sasha Banks, fits that criteria more than Bayley, only because Charlotte still kind of confuses me. Like, what is she? Is she a heel? Is she a babyface? I feel like she's like a walking contradiction. She'll do many heelish things, but then in the end, she'll act like a babyface or something. I don't get it. Whereas I feel like if Sasha was champion, she would be that heel champion that I think we really need for that women's championship, and I think she could have a great run with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they're ready to give Sasha the title yet, but on that same note, I don't know if they're ready to give it to Bayley yet either. I think we might just get like a really long reign by Charlotte. Because, I mean, look at Paige. How long did she hold the title? Holy crap.
Exactly. And then look again how she lost it. Like, she really set the standard for how prestigious that NXT Women's Championship is. And, whoever is going to succeed Charlotte. And it may not even be a while. Dude, the thing is, if Charlotte has such a run like you just postulated she might, it may even be a women's wrestler who hasn't even arrived on the scene yet. Like, that's the thing about NXT. We're looking at two women who have been established, who have been this and that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a guarantee that they're going to be the successor. Like anybody can come out of the woodwork. I mean, hell, if Charlotte really holds on to it long enough, maybe even Carmella would be the next NXT Women's Champion. You never know. So I'll be interested to see, but I do like the idea of a triple threat very much.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen anything like that in NXT yet because it seems like every women's championship match has just been a one-on-one. I mean, have we ever had a multiple female women's championship match on NXT yet?
I don't believe we have.
Yeah, I don't think we have either, because we literally just had one at Night of Champions on WWE, but that was really just Paige versus AJ with a third wheel attached.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Let's go ahead and move on, though. I know we talked about the match, but did we already talk about the post-match where Bayley challenged Charlotte?
Yeah, I did address that, and I think that's what spawned this whole discussion to begin with.
Yeah, because I like that Charlotte came right out and said that Bayley earned her respect, but she made no bones about it. She still said that Bayley's going to lose, even though by saying that Bayley's going to lose, she kind of says, yeah, fine, you get your championship match, but you're not going to win it.
Right.
I enjoyed that. So up next, we had Enzo and Big Cass doing one of their kind of backstage sort of like Instagram type video things. They're at the NXT Performance Center with Carmella, and Enzo's talking about how she's not a diva and all this stuff, and then Carmella takes off a layer of clothing and she's wearing like yoga pants and a sports bra, and Enzo is just completely no-selling it because he's on the treadmill trying to act like this tough guy. And Cass like pans over to himself and he goes, "How you doing?" And then Enzo, she starts stretching, and Enzo kind of glances out the corner of his eye and sees her, and then he does like the rubbernecking thing where he goes to look and gets like trips over himself and falls off the treadmill. And then Carmella's like, "You're such an idiot," and Enzo's like, "I'm a G." It's so good. And don't post that video, Big Cass. And then Cass is just like, "I won't. I wonder how this video got posted." So good.
Yeah, I love these guys.
Man. We just said that at the same time, but yeah, they're great.
They really are. I think so many acts on NXT I love, whether they're old in the sense that Tyson Kidd was already established, but he got a fresh coat of paint and a heel turn, or just, the new, more organic acts like Enzo and Big Cass. Like, I'm telling you, I think I've said this a couple times now, but it rings true every week. I think there is something for everybody when you watch NXT. There really is, and these guys are phenomenal. This is like Zack Ryder done the right way, and I think you and I have said that before as well. Like, these guys have never gotten to a point, at least for me, where it's obnoxious. I just enjoy every little bit of it, and I really like this whole buildup of like training Carmella to be a fighter, and Enzo just being the klutz that he is, and this and that. It's just a great dynamic. I had fun with this.
Yeah. Enzo's "I'm a G" line after she called him an idiot was the thing that definitely got me rolling the most. But this isn't the last that we see of this trio. It's the last that we see of Carmella, but Enzo and Big Cass actually show up in the arena now because we have a match, Enzo Amore versus Marcus Louis. And Enzo does his entire shtick, which the entire crowd says along with him. Like, the entire thing along with him. It's amazing. This is literally Road Dogg 1999 levels of crowd control.
Yes. Dude, I am so glad you brought up crowd control, because these guys have such a mastery of it in the developmental system. Like, I keep thinking back to TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, where they had the crowd in the palm of their hands. If they were not the most over act that night, they certainly took second place. I mean, there wouldn't even be any contenders, like, beyond that. It would probably have been Sami Zayn, I know, was ridiculously over with that crowd, and then it would be Enzo and Big Cass, just immediately. And here on this episode, it was great because they talked about, Marcus Louis comes out with this ridiculous, like, headgear, like keeping a hairpiece in place, just looked utterly ridiculous. And Enzo, pointed out, saying, it looked like you lost your hair due to some kind of allergy, maybe some kind of pie allergy. And then they go through all these pie flavors, and the crowd each time goes, "How you doing?" Pecan, "How you doing?" Apple, "How you doing?" And it's amazing, the relationship.
Pumpkin,
how you doing?
Yeah,
It's amazing to me, Ashton, the relationship that Enzo and Big Cass have with the NXT audience. It's just absolutely incredible, because other baby faces, and you'll see it, they try and create a participatory atmosphere, but I feel like it doesn't really work. These guys, they just do it with such ease. It really blows my mind.
Yeah. I don't even know what to add to that. Do you just want to move on to the actual match?
Yeah, I mean, as
Okay,
far as
because I mean the match, it's really funny because Enzo Amore at this point constantly reminds me of not only just 99 Road Dogg, but a lot of Mikey Whipwreck, because he has no offensive maneuvers whatsoever. He has punches and a roll up, and that is it. And he wins with it because Marcus Louis is just such a doofus that he's wearing headgear, and Enzo pulls it off of his head, and when he's going over to pick it back up off the mat, Enzo catches him with a freaking roll up. Like, it's so good, but so bad in all the right ways that it works.
Right, though, like, it's so funny because maybe, and I was seriously contemplating this, because I'm starting to think maybe I do have, when it comes to comedy and this and that, an NXT bias, because I can't help but feel like if you got two main guys, say, for example, Santino Marella and who would be a good heel to get their head shaved that's ridiculous? I'm trying to think, but no names are coming to mind. But maybe if they did this on the main roster, maybe I'd be crapping all over it. But here it's like, I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe because I felt like it was just well done. Again, not too in your face, this, that, or the other. I loved Marcus Louis' reaction. Just like trying to cover up the head and the eyes bulging out, like, how could this happen? And then he gets caught in the roll up. I mean, clearly, I'm sure his husband still doesn't love him, sporting that headpiece. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, check out those leaked NXT presentations, Marcus Louis. I promise you won't regret it. So yeah, clearly I'm sure he's not fond of it. And Marcus Louis certainly doesn't love it. And honestly, that look he gave to Sylvester LaFord afterwards, I thought he was going to turn on him and just be like, I am so done with this crap, but that did not happen.
No, of course it didn't happen. Do you really expect it to?
Well, I mean, he seemed pretty miffed. Like, he looked like, I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated, I won't stand for this humiliation. I wouldn't be surprised if a split up doesn't come soon, or at the very least, Louis blow up at LaFort and maybe make him lose his hair so that they're on even ground again. So.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that Marcus Louis is going to do something. Dude, we really need to kind of drive home the point that throughout this match, commentary was really emphasizing that LaFort lost the match. LaFort was the one who lost the match to Enzo. LaFort was the one that was supposed to get his head shaved, and Louis basically paid for his sins. Like, at the end of the day, they're trying to say that the payoff is still coming. We're still going to get to see LaFort bald, but they're building back up to it because that payoff is just too much for us to handle right now. And I love it.
I love it too because it's such an interesting twist in the whole hair versus hair narrative, because normally it's just so simple and straightforward, right? Like, the two people have their match, one guy loses, that guy gets his head shaved. I love the unique spin they've put on it because, yeah, LaFort did lose. But as you said, it was Marcus Louis who ends up losing his hair. And yeah, it's just something I did not see coming. Because if it was going to happen, I would have expected both guys to lose their hair in the same night. But the idea that NXT has thought, you know what, we can draw this out and we can do this again, and then we can really make people revel in Sylvester LaFort getting his head shaved and really becoming just a big enough heel where a payoff like that would matter, I think is just genius. So.
Absolutely. Just brilliant. Gotta love it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So up next, we had a Tyson Kidd promo, which was this was kind of weird because it was like he was supposed to be talking to somebody, but nobody was actually there. So because of the fact that nobody was actually there, he should have been looking at the camera, but he was looking past the camera. So it's like, I couldn't tell if he was like reading from a script or if he was trying to create like a psychotic effect or what, but it was just awkward. Basically he said that he doesn't need his wife to talk for him. He doesn't like that his wife asked for the title shot for him, but he's going to take it anyway. And he's going to win the title, and he's going to win all of the power that comes with it, is basically what the general gist of this promo was. So, John, if you have anything else to add, I would love to hear it.
Actually, I do have something to add. What I really loved about this promo was that he makes, and see, I loved it. Makes mention of the fact that, yeah, Adrian Neville is NXT champion, but he's lost twice this year, and I handed him both of those losses in one form or another.
Right.
That was excellent. That's all I needed to hear. Honestly, I can understand where you're coming from, Ashton, about the awkwardness and this and that, but that one line, I just think crystallizes everything else, because you know what? That's a legitimate claim right there. We've even seen, the last time Neville got pinned, it was at the hands of Tyson Kidd. And so, yeah, he's got legitimacy on his side, which is more than I can say for most heels who kind of go into a title match or boast or this and that. It's normally just that, abnormal confidence or this, that, or the other. But, I mean, literally, that was a fact. And that's how, he ends it with. I just think Tyson Kidd, even if he has little hiccups here and there, has really come into his own in terms of promo cutting, especially as a heel personality. I once remember when I was reading Edge's autobiography that he ended the book by saying that he was excited for his upcoming heel turn, the Edge that was just obsessed with getting a world title match because he would seem to consistently get passed over, because he said it's so much easier to piss people off than to get them to like you. And I feel like that has never been truer than with Tyson Kidd. Because with guys like Tyson Kidd, how do you get people to like you? By being exciting in the ring. But when that doesn't cut it because you're not really featured enough, at least not on the main roster, what do? You go to a developmental system and you find yourself a personality. And I feel like Kidd has done that, and he's done that really well. Can't wait for the match next week. Again, really love the fact that he pointed out that, yeah, Adrian Neville is beatable because I'm the man that did it. I just think that was the biggest selling point for this match, that and the fact that it's Tyson Kidd's last chance. So good stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really solid. Up next, and you know what though, John, before I do kind of concede about it being solid, I do want your opinion. What did you think about the delivery of this promo, where he was kind of looking off to the side of the camera?
I can understand where you're coming from. It is a bit awkward, in that respect.
Do you have a theory as to why he was doing that, or is it just like a WTF moment for you?
I think it's a WTF thing. I just think maybe it's him still trying to find his footing, because Tyson Kidd's never been known as one of those prominent speakers, so maybe he's still just getting used to getting more.
It was almost like they were trying to pass it off as an interview. And I think it would have worked really, really well if they actually had somebody ask him the question, because up next was a Sami Zayn interview, and the guy was there, and he actually said, Sammy, you must have heard about Tyson Kidd getting a rematch. What do you think about it? But if they would have done that with Kidd, I could have forgiven the style.
Right. Yeah.
Because it looked like he was talking to somebody off screen, but nobody ever prompted him with a question off screen, so it didn't really make sense.
Right. Yeah, it was weird, because the way they did the Sami Zayn promo afterwards, I think you could even hear the guy's voice, talk to Sami Zayn. So it made perfect sense why Sami would talk that way. Yeah. But with Kidd, you didn't hear any voice, you didn't see any other body. It was just
he was just talking to the air behind the camera.
Yeah. So I don't really know whether I should put that on Kidd or put that on somebody else, but I can definitely see where you're coming from. However, I
think that it's just safe to say that it could have been handled better. Regardless of whose fault it was, it could have been handled better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, up next was our Sami Zayn interview. Guy asks him about Kidd, and he basically says that he thinks that it's what was it? I don't know exactly what word he said, but basically he said that he thought it was ridiculous that Tyson's wife had to basically beg William Regal to give him the rematch. He did say that he doesn't really care, but he does want to point out that Tyson Kidd is desperate and that could make him dangerous. But on that same note, so is Neville, because he's been kind of stooping to lower depths and out of desperation to keep his championship because of the whole thing that he pulled with the pulling the ref out of the ring at TakeOver Fatal 4-Way.
I love how he holds both guys accountable in different ways.
Yeah, I love it. Dude, Sami Zayn is the best babyface WWE has probably ever had.
And you made this original point, so I know it's not like I'm going to be revealing anything new to you, because I think you said this 2 NXT reviews ago, if not the last review. Sami Zayn is slowly having chipped away that nice guy personality. He's definitely become more caustic in his remarks. more aggressive towards people. Because again, I feel like the old Sami Zayn wouldn't have said something like that about Adrian Neville. I feel like he would have just put it behind him and they would have moved forward. But he's holding that grudge. He's holding it big time.
Can we just point out, though, that this whole thing, even though he's not this, like, super over-the-top nice guy, it still makes him a better babyface because it makes him more relatable. Because it's like, sure, you can be a nice guy, but those of us that have been along for the ride with Sami Zayn this whole time, we're getting to the point that we are sick of seeing him get screwed over and over and over. And yeah, we're getting a little bit freaking irritated. So when he shows that he is also irritated, it's even more relatable and it makes us love him even more because it's like, oh my God, he gets us. He's not John Cena. He's not going to just act like his big loss wasn't a big deal and that it's just something that he's going to move on from and just have to, the sun will come out tomorrow kind of thing. But he's actually affected by it, and it makes him so much more relatable to the fans. I love it.
The best kind of fiction is one that can integrate itself into reality. And I always felt like John Cena was so detached from any kind of reality because to me, and I hate to go on like a CM Punk-esque rant here, and I won't do it, but John Cena has never really felt the pain of loss in that context. Sami Zayn, every time he comes close, whether it's contendership or any championship for that matter, it doesn't even have to be the NXT World title, the pain on his face,
yeah.
You would have felt like somebody brought him outside, be like, okay, Sammy, you're just going to have to stand right there while I watch the dog that you've raised for 15 years just get shot right in front of you. I'm telling you, like, that's the pain I feel. Every time I see that face from Sami Zayn, I just wonder, the first question that comes to my mind is, oh my God, who died? Like, Sammy, are you going to be okay? Because he just sells pain that well. And I was really, great point, Ash, by saying, like, how relatable he is, because it's a human struggle. Look, it's human to want things, to have goals, to want to do things. And when you come up short, yeah, you're going to feel like life kicked you in the teeth and screwed you over. And you know what? It's okay to say just that. In fact, if Sami Zayn didn't say that, if he didn't hold Adrian Neville accountable, I'd probably be ticked at Zayn. Because I'd be like, well, how bad do you really want this then? But I know how bad he wants it now because of promos like this, which, like you said, Ashton, to bring it full circle, makes us rally behind him all the harder. Like, we're ready to burn buildings to the ground to get this championship for him because we know he's just as angry as we are.
Yeah, exactly. It's great babyface psychology, and more people need to watch and learn from Sami Zayn on that note.
Dude, I just want to remind everybody that first of all, it's Sami Zayn for the execution, so definitely credit goes to him. But again, if the rumors are true, 1 to 2 writers do all of this with Triple H overseeing it. Get it together, Raw. Seriously. Like, this is so good. If John Cena would cut even one promo like this, even after 15 world titles, I would probably feel a shred of sympathy for him. Just so good. Just amazing.
Just a shred?
Just a shred, because he's 115 and Sammy's still clamoring for that one. So, he's kind of starving over here. You can see the lining of his ribcage at this point. But yeah, just amazing what a little bit of realistic human emotion can do for any character or any promo. It really is.
All right, so up next was our main event of the evening, the Lucha Dragons versus the Ascension in a tag team championship rematch. Really, the story of this match was Ascension dominates, Hideo Itami distracts, Lucha Dragons take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much in a nutshell. That isn't to say that this is a bad match by any means. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure you did as well. I really loved the tag team psychology of the Ascension, cutting the ring in half, pegging apart Lucha Dragons, and just when it seemed like they were closing in, Hideo Itami comes out. And by the way, I was telling Ashton before we recorded that I feel like Hideo Itami is one of the best themes on NXT. It goes Sami Zayn, because that theme grew on me like wildfire, Tyler Breeze, and now Hideo Itami for me for 3 best themes. Because that music hits, and you just instantly get the feeling, or at least I do, somebody's getting their ass beat. And it's great, because then Connor's just looking at, what are you doing here? And Victor, of course, gets hit with the SDS. because I don't know the actual words for it. I'm going to keep forgetting.
Salida del Sol.
Salida del Sol. See, I knew del Sol, but that first word always escaped me. Salida.
That's because you want to say samurai.
Yeah, I do. But, he hits the Salida del Sol, or the SDS, gets the pin, and then Connor tries taking it to Hideo because, if I can't take the tag titles, I'll take a consolation prize and beating you down. And yeah, that doesn't work out.
No. Did he really think it would?
I don't know. Maybe he thought Connor smash, and Hideo's like, no, because I have intellect and educated feet. I'm just gonna send you back to oblivion. And yeah, he pretty much owned Connor here. The Ascension did not rise tonight, folks. They did not rise. So yeah, Hideo screws the Ascension out of the tag team championships, puts the boots literally to Connor. Great ending to NXT.
It was wonderful. This show is wonderful, just consistently. I feel like I shouldn't even need to say that anymore because it's just something that I'm beating a dead horse at this point. But that dead horse needs to get beaten because we really need to just keep on driving this point home until NXT's ratings are challenging Raw's.
Right. So yeah, NXT, we keep saying it over and over again, the best program out there right now. What more can you say than that? This is just another show that proved it. And considering what's going to be coming in later weeks, good Lord, people, Raw doesn't stand a chance. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So with that said, I guess we can move on to our next segment. High spots and low shots. And this is probably one of the easiest low shots ever. The Ascension got their tag team championship rematch. They lost to Lucha Dragons because of Hideo Itami. They picked a fight that I don't think they're prepared to finish because it's already cost them the tag titles. And to top it all off, Hideo, again, as I said, put the boots to Connor, pretty much beat him down. So he gets the last laugh tonight. The Ascension going from the longest reigning NXT tag team champions to just guys on a downward spiral.
And you know what? I like it because when you're on a downward spiral, when you're falling from grace, you get desperate. And that's what the Ascension needs to do.
Yeah, because when you're desperate, you get dangerous, and you don't want to mix dangerous and the Ascension together because that's not a good time for anyone else.
Exactly.
So, who is your low shot?
My low shot, you know what? I think I'm just going to make it Mojo Rawley because he got beat down twice and everyone was happier about it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
my friend James even said, that was his favorite segment of the night.
Yeah.
That's how much people hate Mojo Rawley, so I think that's an excellent choice on your end. Thoroughly love it. Now for the high spot. You know what? It's crazy, but I'm going to say my high spot is Tyson Kidd because he got an NXT championship match next week, and he didn't even have to do anything because literally his wife did everything, which would normally seem like a detraction, but Tyson Kidd didn't have to risk injury by winning some kind of number one contenders match. He didn't have to do anything crazy like that. He just got it. Yes, it's a last chance match, so there is that huge caveat on it, but he got it. Imagine if it was that easy for an Xavier Woods or a CJ Parker. They'd be doing it all the time, and yet Tyson Kidd is of that status that he can do it. So, yeah, he's my high spot.
All right. Sounds good to me.
All right, who is your high spot?
My high spot is... Man. You know what? I'm going to make my high spot Enzo Amore.
Yes, how you doing?
Because he showed levels of crowd control before the match that I haven't seen since, like I said, Road Dogg in 1999. And he actually won his match, which is something that's so rare for Enzo Amore. I feel like I have to take advantage of it when he finally does it. So yeah, he's my high spot.
Perfect. Dude, I love it. I think you're right on point. Enzo's one of the best acts in NXT right now. Gets the win over Marcus Louis. And as you pointed out when we were personally reviewing that match, there is a build coming for LaForte. And I think it will be at Enzo's hands or Big Cass's hands. He can certainly get the job done any given night of the week. So yeah, completely agree with this. Excellent choice. And that wraps up high spots and low shots. So if there's anything else you want to say, we can close out.
Hey, go for it, dude.
Alright guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Discuss on Fleet Off what were your favorite moments from NXT this week. Who were the standouts in your eyes of this week? And we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review, where I can't recollect any announced segments, but you know you'll get the best coverage here, so we'll see you then.